Hey guys, welcome back to Almost Inevitable Design. My name is still PK and I make WordPress tutorials for website developers and designers. Okay, so we are on lesson three. That doesn't, you can't see the thumb that way. If I do that, it looks like two. It's actually three. But anyways, so we're on lesson three. We're looking at colors and we're going to start with the types of colors. Okay. Now, first of all, oh yeah, I should start. Yeah, there's not much to do here. So I mean, not much introduction to get into the content in this case because you're already here. This is lesson three. You're probably in the playlist. You're probably going through the playlist. So All right. So gonna start 1313, and here we go. Okay, so color can be inputted 3, 4, 5 different types of values. I'll get to that in a second. All right, so we can start with color. Let's start with color. Okay, now color is, you know what? I'll do it for the H1 because it's easier to see. All right, so color is the color of the text. Okay, background color is the background, of course. So there's lots of ways that you can use the color value. It can be used in like borders, outlines, background colors, that kind of stuff, right? And text colors, of course. Now, it's just color for text. It's just color for text. It's not font color, text color. You can't make it up, okay? It's just color. Now, we can use color names. There's a whole list of actual color names, which I will link, and I'll give you the link here, but this is it. You can actually just use a color name. These are all supported by every browser. So let's say, for example, we want H1 to be deep pink, and that's deep pink. All right, that is a very specific color, as you can see, deep pink. And it just comes out as an RGB value, as you can see here, which is what we're going to get to next after actual color names. Now, before we go into RGB, color names are a great way, I think, of typing things out and prototyping real quick, like lo-fi mockup. I think it's easier than coming up with hex codes or RGB codes than it's easier than getting that from a color picker. So this is a pretty easy way of doing it. Just have a look through, 140 colors, and you'll sort of understand, like sort of know some of the names. So you can just use that later when you're like in a rush. So you can just put it together and see what it looks like, right? So like dark red, dark blue. I'm sure there's dark red. Yeah, there you go. Dark red. So you can, yeah, right? So you can just prototype things easily. So that's a really good case for using color names. All right. Now for RGB, as you can see here, RGB is, so you know the three primary colors of light, right? It's red, green, and blue, hence RGB. And if you shine like different flashlights, red filter on it, green filter, blue filter, and you mix them, mix all three together, it becomes white. So the colors are in 16 times 16. They're technically all in hex. So 16 times 16, 2-digit 16 numbers. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. That is 16 digits. And you get 2 digits of that. So you can multiply them. That's how you get 256, right? And that's why when you write RGB, it's 256 numbers, comma, 256 numbers, comma, 256 numbers. That's why 255, because you're counting 0, 255 is the largest number that you can get, and you can get that. So that is R, G, and B, right? So R is red. So this will be 100% red, no green and blue. There you go, right? G, red and green. 255, that gives us yellow. And of course, if we make this 255 as well, that'll give us white, so we're not going to do that. Let's make this 0. So green and blue, you get light blue. Yeah, right? So, yeah, right. So, yeah, so that's how that works, right? Now, you can also put in an alpha value, which is, I'll just use a regular color, okay? Like I said, prototyping is easy, so let's use maroon. That gives us 128.00, so, oh, that's easy, 128.00. Yeah, all right, so we can also give this, like I said, an alpha value, which is A, RGB A, and that gives us, for example, 0.4. That gives us 40% of regular maroon. Okay, there you go. That's what that is. Now, this is technically 40% opacity, which means if you have a background, it will show through. Okay, now I actually talk about this when I'm explaining technical web design for graphic designers. So when you're using like a design tool like XD or a prototyping tool, design tool like XD or whatever, Figma or InDesign, people don't use InDesign, but for prototyping that is, XD, Figma, or Sketch, some graphic designers, because they come from like PDF, like InDesign roots, they drop the opacity of a color just to get the right color, right shade, right lightness of a certain color that is in that same not saturation. What is it? Hue, right? In the right hue. But if you do that and if you start layering things, it's not gonna work because it has low opacity. So you get other colors seeping in behind it, right? So let's say background, where's the color? Let's give this light gray. How about, yeah, light slate gray, that sounds good. All right, so there you go. Now that does not look like the same color anymore, right? So that's one thing that you need to think about when you're designing, and also when you're developing. When you're setting the colors, if it has an opacity, it's great at times if it's overlaying an image, but it's not always the best to use for text in this case, because sometimes text is overlaid on top of a certain color. Okay, all right. Let's move on to hex. Now, like I said, in RGB, 256 values from 0 to F, right? But you can actually use that directly, all right? So FF is 2 Fs, is 16 times 16, 256, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that gives us a total of 6 digits, and that is a hex code. So this, we're going back to full red, okay? Remember, maroon was 128. I don't know how to get 128 from 16 in hex, but we'll just come up with some other number. It's about the middle, right? So 8. 8. Yeah, that should be about dark red. Yeah, there we go. Similar enough. 136. All right, let's give it a try. 78, is that right? I don't even know how to. Oh, so close. It's got to go up. 79. Nope. 80. No, 80. There we go. Yeah. All right. It's 80. Yeah. So that's maroon. Okay. So that's how you get hex, and you've seen all those numbers a lot. I'm sure you've seen them. So it's not that hard to understand or explain. But another thing that is worth knowing about is that, remember how we had RGBA, and the last, we can actually have a fourth value giving us the alpha value? You can do that with hex. So you can actually put in, for example, something like 20%. I don't even know what it is in hex, but let's, yeah, half should be around there, right? So yeah, how about 80? So remember, see that? I put another 80 there, and that's about half. And there you go. And you can see that's 0.5. Okay, so old browsers, Internet Explorer 11, for example, does not support this, but all modern browsers do. That was hard to say. All right, so all modern browsers do. And it's absolutely worth looking into when you're typing things out yourself, and you can do if you need to do quick calculations and whatever, and it's worth doing. It's worth knowing about. Now, I sort of am in the thought of using the opacity, what is it? Rule? Is it a rule? Yeah, using that property, the opacity property, instead of that, because it's easier to control, I think. But yeah, it really, it's a little different, because if you do that, then the background dies as well. All right, let me show you. So yeah, do you see that? Right? So if it's, see, it affects the background as well if you use opacity. So you got to think about that if you want to do that, but it depends on what you're doing. But yeah, it's good to know, right? Okay. All right, what else we got? All right, HSL is hue, saturation, lightness. It's very cool, but it's hard to understand if you keep using RGB and hex. HSL is cool because the hue, I'll show you HSL. This is the hue value. So from 0 is full red all the way up to the rainbow. Is that not how you do it? There you go. All the way up the rainbow. All you do is change that value, and you get that. Oh, and you get, yeah, and you can change the color. So if you know sort of where things are, right? So 356 is the whole, supposed to be the whole color wheel, right? So 360 is the whole color wheel, and so that means you know the color wheel, and then you have red on one side, and the opposite color is something like this light cyan. Then that's, yeah, that's how that, I think that's how that works. Yeah, that's how that works. So, and then you can go inside the color wheel to lose saturation, or inside to go up in lightness, that kind of stuff. Right? So that gives us that, right? So if you want this color, let's just give it a color like that. Yeah, the dark red, dark, what is it? Dark green. And that's what you get, right? There's also HWB, hue, whiteness, and blackness, but nobody uses that. That's in CSS 4. HSL is in CSS 3. We don't use that. I've never seen that being used. So, like I said, this is practical. Oh, 3, 4, 2, 1. There we go. Yeah. So we're not going to be talking about the HWB because nobody uses it. Like I said, this is a practical course. However, one last thing that I would like to cover, all right, is there's something that's very interesting. It is current color. Okay, for example, you've already set the color here. All right, color's maroon. We're going to give it an underline. All right, text. Let's give it a background. Let's give it a background color, and you can use current color, which is stupid because it's the same color. But let's try something else. Border bottom 2 pixel solid current color, and there you go. Okay, now if it's inside the same thing, if it's inside the same selector, you can actually use that color and just say current color. That helps it when you are writing sustainable, easily changeable CSS, where all you want to do is, for example, change the color value with either JavaScript, or maybe you're using a CSS variable, that kind of stuff. Then using current color, we'll just copy paste the same color. It just inherits from that color. So that's another cool usage. All right, cool. I think that was pretty action packed for 13 minutes, and I got through everything. So next is the box, which is very important, very useful. Okay, so I will see you in the next lesson, and please like, subscribe, keep up with everything, visit the website, come download the files and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.